All right, today is June 7th. We're going back to Atlantic City because the grind is paying off and I got another opportunity to play at balcony. But tonight, it's just me, so I'm going to be playing 11 to 2, but if it's popping, it might stretch to 3. I definitely am a little bit nervous. We'll see though. We'll see if the grind has been paying off and if I can carry the energy in a room like this. Wish me luck. First thing you walk into at the Hard Rock is Lobby Bar. They had a cover band rocking with DJ Drift ready to play in between sets. I ended up going upstairs. I got a salad with a mixed grill, had myself a feast, and then I linked with Yona, who was setting up at Council Oak to play some dinner vibes. It is now 10:08, and I realized that I probably should have did a little voiceover a little bit earlier, but I've been kind of fucking nervous, guys. I have a crate ready. I think there's like 475 songs in that crate. I have it split up between like something from more earlier, a little more vibier while it's empty. Then I have like a dancing crate, which gets a little more popping, and then I even have that split up to like early and late. I even had some classic records in the crate because the balcony is at the Hard Rock, and the Hard Rock attracts an older crowd as is, so I was kind of trying to be ready for whatever came through. And although that does open a lot more for me to play, giving me more eras to pull from, I was nervous because the balcony hasn't even been around for a year yet, and they're still kind of solidifying their sound, which made me feel like I was never ready because I still didn't really know how to prepare for it. I don't know, I'm praying to the DJ gods for a good night, and it's time to execute soon. So I made my way up the escalator, and my nerves kind of calmed down as soon as I walked in because the balcony is beautiful. They had a private event already going on there, so I pretty much just had to wait until it was my turn to switch on. The weather that night was perfect. A lot of the people there were actually just outside. The DJ was playing exclusively hip hop. And the crowd was like 85% men, with most of them being above 40. So I was already kind of thinking that I was gonna pivot as soon as I started. I forgot to hit record right away, but I swerved away from hip hop because I felt like I wanted to reset the room. I started with the original Lady by Majo, and after 4 songs, I'm playing Billie Jean, and I remember to hit record. So far, I'm staying upbeat, energy level like maybe around a 6. I'm dabbling around a couple decades. Pretty much just playing for the shoulders. Testing things out as people start trickling in. But it's really hard to read people early on at the balcony because the move is to get there, grab a drink, and then go outside onto the actual balcony to enjoy the views. You can see the water, you got the Ferris wheel. It's a vibe. So although it does hurt the ego to see people walk in and go outside, I just know it's part of the experience, and all I have to do is maintain a vibe, let them drink some more, and hopefully they'll come in later. I'm about 37 minutes in my set. I've had, you know, a couple people here and there dance a little bit, but I'm still not really pushing that energy up too high. And every now and then I would leave the booth and go outside and kind of like peep to see if people were vibing and what exactly they were vibing to see if I can use that information to dictate what I'm gonna play to maybe draw some of the people from outside inside. Watching this back, I realized that when I set my camera up, I was only thinking about having me and the dance floor in view. But what you guys aren't seeing is that there's a section in front of me and a section to my right. And those sections definitely impacted how I played. So it makes me wonder in the future, in a bigger club like this, how can I bring in a second camera angle to kind of get that information and show you guys that stuff? Because we're missing that information from the video. If anybody has any thoughts for a small second camera that'll last me 4 hours straight recording, give me your thoughts. Back to the set though. I'm dabbling in some newer stuff, but I remembered that I had that Mary J. Blige request, and I felt like I needed to knock that out. Now, it took me 3 songs to get to Mary J. Blige, and I pleased the section, but did you notice something? That group of girls that came in and was vibing to Big Energy weren't there anymore. And it honestly felt like it was more my song selection that they went outside versus them actually wanting to go outside because they were vibing as they walked in. Don't get me wrong, as soon as I seen them walking in and vibing, I wanted to stay modern. But I felt like I had already made the decision that I was working towards that request, that I stayed true to it. But I don't know, watching it back, I definitely don't know if that was the right decision. So question for the comments, how do y'all balance regular general admission people, your actual dance floor vibing to something versus the requests from the sections? Like how do you make the decision on what's more important and at what time? Because I definitely don't know the right answer to that. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to learn from y'all. Back to the club though, I'm starting to put a little gas on it. At this point, I'm kind of having waves of moments on the dance floor. It's not steady the entire time. I'm having people come from outside to go inside, dance a little bit, then to go back outside. I have the section, leave the section for a little bit, dance a little bit, go back to the section. But I'm not having anything steady. But what I wasn't realizing was that the true party was happening outside. And that honestly didn't sink in until security came up with this lady from outside.
I want to give a special shout out to Maggie. It's her birthday tonight. Yeah, man, turned up, screamed.
And like, look, I don't know, call me corny, but knowing that people generally are vibing outside, there's people dancing outside when I can't really see them all the time, it just literally brought my morale back to 100, because like, it's not easy to not be in full panic mode when you're looking at an empty dance floor in a nightclub when you're playing. I just continued to vibe, and I knew that as long as I kept the energy up, played good music, I'd build a dance floor. And here's where I took a wrong turn. I dove a little bit too deep into the 2000s, and I even dabbled into some 2020s. But this is why it's important for me to look up from my computer, look up from my gear, look the people in the eyeballs, because once I realized that I was starting to lose them, I knew I had to pivot back. It may not be a pretty transition. It's definitely a hard swerve, but I knew I had to pivot back and bring the room back together with some classics. it's right around 1:30. The crowd is still vibing, and what I should have did was double down on it. I should have went deeper in the 70s and 80s and played some forgotten records that they probably haven't heard for over a decade, because that would have been an experience, especially since they were already vibing to that kind of music. But instead, what I did was made the same exact mistake I made earlier. I thought to myself, it's later in the night now. They drank a little bit more. I can tell they're a little bit looser just by the way they're dancing. So let me see if I can kind of try out the 2000s again. And during that song, it was an evacuation drill. A big group from my dance floor, gone. And I continued until I was left playing for staff and about 10 people outside, which prompted another person from staff to come up and tell me to like start winding down, start closing. The club was ready to stay open till 3, and now I'm being told we're closing at 2:15. I genuinely thought Yeah by Usher was like a perfect middle ground that wasn't gonna, you know, destroy the room like it did. And now I'm pretty much just playing vibes for an empty room. Now look, I was able to figure out what the crowd liked, and I was able to build a dance floor. But I have a lot of work to do when it comes to gauging when it's time to stay in a specific lane versus when to color outside the box of what's working. And when I do want to test out a different genre or a different era, I should make smoother transitions. I was playing a 70s funk song and I jumped to 2000s hip hop. That's a 30-year gap with 2 eras that affected 2 completely different generations. So instead, I should try to maybe move only 1 decade and play something more similar sounding instead of jumping multiple decades and completely changing the energy and vibe in a room. Look, I'm trying not to be so hard on myself, but I'm just not a fan of this set at all. Listen, y'all, as always, if you're somebody that makes it to this part of the video, I can't thank you enough. Seriously, I am so behind on editing. But listen, if you're a DJ and like you want to change your life through DJing, start going out as much as you can. I've been doing it once a week, every week since this year started. And this is honestly the craziest year of my life, which is why I am so behind on posting. But I've learned so much watching other DJs, seeing different rooms. I've made so many amazing connections. And most of all, I've gotten the most opportunities to play in my entire life. So just try it out. Even if it's once a month, I promise you, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna take away something. Something's gonna happen that's gonna affect how or what you DJ. I don't know. Let me stop rambling. I'm gonna have a drink, wind down, and then I'll head home. Lot to learn, lot to grow from, and all we can do is get better, right? See y'all next time. Oh, that shit's nuts.